What is going on? It is week 8, the final week of the summer sprint. We've made it through a heck of a challenge, and this 8 weeks has had its shares of ups and downs. I don't know if this has just been the most difficult challenge because it's been the one that I've tried the hardest on, or if life circumstances actually made it more difficult. But we had some things going on. Early on in the challenge, we had very high hopes. Of course, I wanted to win. Wanted to win the challenge. And so I came in, guns a-blazing. Plan was to keep my protein high, keep my calories high, and try to maintain my weight throughout the entire challenge. I started at about 197. Normally I walk around about 210, and I kind of purposely, a few weeks before the challenge started trying to cut a little bit of weight. That way it wasn't going to be so drastic all at once. When the challenge started, I wanted to keep my weight. I wanted to hold on to as much as I could, hoping to end the challenge around 190 pounds and around 12% body fat. I probably started much higher than that. But the plan was to go about 4 or 5 weeks of just maintenance and building, leaving the final 3 or 4 weeks to just, try to cut down. Never in my life have I been in a calorie deficit, so this was a challenge for me. Went into a calorie deficit for the last 3 weeks and into a major, what I would consider a major calorie deficit. I've never been hungry like this before. It's been interesting. Fortunately, I didn't waver, didn't fall off the wagon. I stuck to my goals, stuck to my plan. Never had that moment of weakness where it really fell apart. And this is where things get interesting. This challenge had a few roadblocks in the way. Let's see. Very early on, I wanted to do sprint work. I used to sprint in college. I was a college track athlete. I used to sprint, and I thought back to when I was in the best shape of my life, and it was when I was doing that. So, forget the fact that we fast forward about 12 years now, maybe a little longer, since I've been doing that. So I'm not in shape for it. I went 3 weeks of sprint work before I pulled my calf and a little bit of my hamstring, tweaked my hamstring, pulled my calf. Which put me out for about 2-3 weeks. And, this would have been a setback that for a lot of people, and possibly for me in the past, would have made me throw in the towel. Just because, how am I going to win this thing if I can't even operate, if I can't move, can't work my lower body? So, I had to really go back to the drawing board, pick things up. It made me dive in deeply into my nutrition. And that's when I had to go into an actual somewhat of a calorie deficit. So week 3 is when I dropped my calories from where they normally stand, where I build, maintain muscle, to, probably to a more normal person standard, 2,500-ish, maybe 24, 23. It wasn't, it was low for me. Anyway, from there, I noticed during the 3 weeks that I was recovering from that, I still worked out, still found a way to do my 75 hard workouts. I just went outside, laid in the sun, and did ab workouts twice a day since I couldn't walk. I went 3 weeks of that before I could get back to activity, and I just noticed the extreme change in my physique. In fact, in my progress pictures, when the change happened was when I got injured, and it was kind of due to just being dialed into my nutrition. So from there on, I decided to stay dialed in, even when the calf got better and I could start moving again. And so, when that happened, I stayed dialed in. That would put me about, week 5 or 6. And that's when things started getting tough, because that's when we went into a real calorie deficit. We dropped it even lower. And, for the last 2 to 3 weeks, we had an actual, I was down to about 2,100 calories, 210 grams of protein, and I just dropped my carbs and fats even more. But, that was about the time when my grandma got hurt. She fell. She lives in South Texas. She lives 13 hours away. She fell, broke 4 of her ribs. I forgot. It was pretty intense for a woman who's 98 years old. And so, I answered the call, and I drove down to South Texas, drove home to see her. Stayed with her for 3 days. This was another opportunity for me to probably fall off the wagon. It would have been real easy for me to say, oh, this is more important. It's family. This challenge isn't anything. I got to go down to see my grandma. Well, instead, I called my wife. I said, hey, Corey, I've got to go to South Texas. Y'all can come with me if you want, but this is what it's for. Can you meal prep for me for about 3 days? When I get off work, I'm going to drive home and pick up my food and go home and go to Texas. So My wife, being the great teammate that she is, she meal prepped for me for 3 or 4 days, 3 meals a day, and that way, when I drove to Texas, I didn't have any, one on the way there, two while I was there, I didn't have to eat, all the tempting food, all the Mexican food that's down there, being in my hometown. And so it was extremely helpful. Once again, I didn't get to do like 2 major workouts a day. I ended up going for 2 outdoor walks just to get my 75 hard in and just to get activity in. But for 3 days, I had to be by my grandma's side, pretty much 24/7. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't sit forward. She couldn't sit back. She'd choke on her own air, drown in blood. And so, anyways, we had to just take care of her. I had to be by her side for 3 days. And, it was amazing the fact that I was able to, once again, withstand this life hurdle that had been thrown at me, and come back. I took my kids with me, and they wanted to stop at Whataburger. So twice I was able to stop at Whataburger and not eat a hamburger, not eat anything, which was challenging in itself. But, we made the trip back, got immediately into that major calorie deficit, and have just been rolling ever since. The workouts have been interesting. What was really neat is I went and did a body scan here at the end of last week, so at the end of week 7, and I saw that my muscle has been able to maintain. I figured with that drop, I've dropped like 10 pounds of weight. With me dropping in 10 pounds, I just assumed the muscle had to drop with it. The muscle's maintained. In fact, I haven't done a scan in a while, so I don't know if I grew during this time frame. It has grown since my last scan, but what's cool is I dropped so much in weight, so much in body fat, and the muscle's higher than really it's ever been, which is just fantastic. And my body fat was down to 15.4%. Last Friday, I'm going to go back tomorrow, which will be Friday, and when I officially, I guess the challenge will officially end for me tomorrow, Friday, and that's when I'm going to scan and just see if I made it to my goal. I don't think I'm at 12%. I think I'm at 13, maybe 14, but we'll see. I got another day of clean eating to see where I get to. But guys, I just appreciate the opportunity to be part of this. Every time it's fun, but this one just meant a little bit more. Maybe just because I had the drive and the will and the want to win. I do think I put myself in a competing position. We'll see what everybody else did. I'm proud of my results, no matter what. I'm proud of my team. Proud of my Transformers, proud of the people that I worked with, proud of everybody. But all in all, I just thank my wife for being such a good life partner in this, and being a partner in 75 Hard, being a partner in First Form, and just really being my partner as far as helping my clients, my Transformers, really find their path, find their success. I have a full-time job on top of this, so she ends up doing a lot of the dirty work for me and with me. And so I thank her for all that she's able to help me do. I'm excited to see the results. I'm excited to be at the Legionnaire Conference, and I'm just excited for everything that's coming in the future. Guys, thank y'all so much. Looking forward to this. Extremely proud of my photos and proud of just the progress that's happened. So thank y'all. Looking forward to the next one.